So, in today's video, we're going to be talking about lust, and we need to be very clear about what that actually means. Okay, lust is not about shame, it's not about pretending desire doesn't exist. Let's be frank here. If you're watching this video, you have a pair of balls or you have some sweet candy down below, okay? And we all have those urges. It's natural, all right? You're a man, you're a woman. You have those urges. And lust is simply not about trying hard. Most people think they could try and escape lust. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. But Jesus says that, you shouldn't even be fighting it. But the truth is, lust is not random. It's not just hormones, and it's not because you're broken. Lust is engineered, and it's engineered by what you see. All right, what you hear, and what you repeatedly expose your imagination to. And for most men, the battle of lust is already lost before temptation even shows up because their mind is already primed. If every time you open your phone, and this is exactly what I did, every time you open your phone and you see sexualized content, whether that be on Reddit, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, if the music you listen to glorifies women as objects. I used to be a big Weeknd fan, a big Tory Lanez fan, especially the albums that were dedicated to fooling around with girls, right? If your media constantly feeds fantasy, I don't really watch TV shows, but I know a lot of those. Wasn't Sinners, I think it was, with Haley Steinfeld? Didn't that have like a major scene in it? I'm pretty sure. But I know a lot of media in today, anime, you're not off the hook for that one. Your media constantly feeds fantasy. Then when the temptation hits, you're not starting from neutral. It's not an even fight. You're already inflamed. You're already been hit down, knocked down a couple times when the fight starts. And it's because of your bad positioning. It's because of what you consume. It's because of the triggers you have. Lust doesn't start in the body. It starts in the imagination. And you'll learn this while meditating, while being able to control your thoughts. A lot of thoughts that you have aren't exactly your thoughts. Like, if you sit down and you meditate for 5 minutes, random crap will just pop up into your head that is so unimportant, like, genuinely, and you realize that your thoughts are not yours. All right? And you'll understand that lust starts in the imagination. Every time Satan wants you to lust, he'll just throw a thought into your head. And the truth is, your imagination is trained. Okay? Let me show you how this works. Let me walk you through exactly how lust works. Lust is always going to start with a trigger. And before I go into this, I actually want to tell you guys that I struggled with lust for a really long time. I think I got too exposed to it at 12 with 11 or 12 with kids talking about it in study hall, and then also T. Martin's Super Seducer game, of all things. And, I did this motion for about, I think, 18, 19. Then I started going to the gym, and then I was able to attract girls, and then I fooled around with girls for a little bit. And so I've really been exposed to lust, and I think I've probably I don't know. I've had a long list of experiences with lust, and I'll break it down now. It starts with a trigger. Okay, for me, when I was doing this motion, it was the secular music I was listening to, like The Weeknd or Tory Lanez, when they're rapping about hooking up with girls, or it was my For You page on Instagram or TikTok where there's just a bunch of snow bunnies shaking booty all day or showing their goodies up here. All right. And another trigger I could have once I stopped doing this and actually started fooling around with girls is, like I said, maybe it's a girl I'm hanging around with that I'm not supposed to be hanging around with. Maybe it's me going out and clubbing and being around girls, like I said, who, are looking to hook up with you. Or it's girls who, on Snapchat, who send you lewd photos trying to get you to hang out. Those are some examples of triggers that have, those are my triggers. You're going to have to find out your own. But I'm just telling you from example, those are my triggers. And then comes into the imagination. All right, your imagination. Oh, another trigger I want to mention too is the gym. Girls who are dressing lewdfully, or I don't know, lewd. I think it's the correct word. Lewd at the gym. They're doing their RDLs and you get a quick stare or something like that. But I'm being full honest here. Those were my triggers. Then your imagination sets in. You know, you know, it's the For You page. You're like, oh yeah, and then you go over the corn hub, or it's the girl who snapped you, and then next thing you know, you're in her dorm room, or it's a girl flirting with you at the bar. Next thing you know, you're in her dorm room, or it's the girl at the gym. You see her, you have some imagination, thoughts about her, and you go home and you do this, or you text someone that you're not supposed to be texting. It's the imagination, and the truth is, I would recommend eliminating the trigger. That's how you're able to defeat lust. That's a really good way. But you can also defeat it in the imagination phase. Because we know Jesus said in a parable talking about the crow's nest, if a crow landed on your head, would you let it build a nest? No, you would shoo it away. Most people do that, and I did that with lust as well. You will have things pop up into your head. All right, what? And sometimes it won't even be a trigger. Sometimes you'll just be randomly walking and you'll think of a girl or think of something lustful, and you'll have something pop up into your head. And are you gonna fantasize? Are you gonna fool around with it? Are you gonna do some mental masturbation? No. You're gonna shoo it away. That's the imagination phase. If you have a lustful thought, you can fantasize for it. That's why most people struggle with it, or you can shoo it away. That's what Jesus taught, and that's what I taught. And then you have the escape. So let's say you have a trigger, you have the imagination, you fantasize about it, and then you have the escape. That's you releasing, essentially. That's you hooking up with a girl, that's you doing this, that's you doing some other weird kinks I don't want to know or get into. If you want to talk about that stuff one-on-one and you need genuine help, my Calendly is down below, $50 for a 30-minute call. But that is, you escape. You have the escape, and then you have the shame. You're like, oh God, I'm so sorry, or oh God, I'm not worthy, or God, I'm a horrible person. And then next thing you know, you're repeating it. And maybe it's 1 time a day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day. Maybe it's once a week or once a day. For me, when I was doing this motion, it was probably about 4 or 5 times a day. And then hooking up with girls, it was about once a week for me. All right. And that is how lust actually works. All right. Let me take you back over here. So what I just showed you on the whiteboard, that is exactly how lust works. But the Christian truth is most people never explain it properly. Lust is not defeated by pretending you're holy or righteous or anything like that. It's by starving the inputs that feed your fantasy. Removing the triggers out of your life, and you'll have to find those for yourself, that will solve 90% of your issues when it comes to lust. All right? And that's why scripture talks about taking thoughts captive. Not actions, thoughts. If you want victory, you don't just pray harder, you position yourself in a better situation. And that includes your phone, that includes the apps, that includes the girls you're hanging around with, that includes your times working out. All right. If those things, whether it's your phone, whether it's the people you're hanging around with, the clubs, whatever, if that thing that you know is causing you the lust is feeding it, it will always win. All right. This doesn't mean you have to become an extreme monk, a Tibetan monk. All right. It means you stop being naive. You cannot ask God for purity while feeding your imagination garbage when you're still having those mental masturbation thoughts. That's not faith. That is literally self-sabotage. All right. And today, this video, it's not about perfection. It's about declaring war correctly. You're not powerless. You're not doomed. You're not uniquely broken, but you are responsible for what you allow into your mind. All right. In tomorrow's video, we're going to get very practical about how to escape lust triggers and build guardrails that actually work. Today is about deciding that you are done lying to yourself about what feeds this habit. Now, I also want to cover that other 10%, because if you remember, I said 90% of your things, or 90% of lust, is caused by the triggers. But I want to be real here. You're a man, you're a woman, and most of you guys that are watching this are young, like 18 to 30. You're going to have hormones. All right. There are times in my life where I'm just randomly bricked up, bro, or I randomly have these thoughts, and those are 10% of the times not caused by triggers. And in those 10% of times, you have to do what Jesus talked about. All right, imagine a crow flying on your head. Are you going to build a nest? No, you need to shoo those thoughts away. All right, there are going to be times where you're randomly bricked up. For girls, there are going to be randomly times when you're randomly horny too, right? You need to shoo those thoughts away. Think about cheeseburgers. Think about your grandma. Think about old nuns. Think about something that will get you less excited. All right, the truth is you need to think about that, and that's how you solve the other 10%. All right, and I'm going to go more in depth with this tomorrow, but for today's assignment, day 5, just write down what media feeds your imagination. Are you reading for the girls out there? I'm calling y'all out as well, because a lot of girls who I've hung out with, they act all innocent, but they're more freaky than me, bro. Are you reading like these weird fan fictions, these romance books? Are you watching these weird movies, right? What media feeds your imagination? Boys too, are you watching girls shake ass on TikTok and Instagram? All right, what are your triggers what triggers lust the fastest? Is it the secular music you're listening to? What do you already know from watching this video? Because I know thoughts have popped into your head watching this video. What do you know is already a problem? All right, I don't want you to delete anything yet. I do not want you to change anything yet. Just name it. Because tomorrow we will build the guardrails for how you defeat lust. That's all I got. Looking forward to see you guys in day 6. Peace.